In the small, serene town of Sakura, Mosoki Ogami contemplates an unexpected dilemma that pulls him into a realm he thought he'd escaped. A looming suspicion weighs on him, stemming from a visit he was initially resistant to make. Yet, driven by obligation, he finds himself meeting with Miwa, a woman whose requests have been less of a logistical need and more of a puzzlement. Ogami, typically reserved and indifferent to personal allure, notes Miwa lacks the seductive charm one might anticipate in his line of work. While she possesses an undeniable beauty, it's not the type that ensnares the heart effortlessly. Nonetheless, as she converses, Ogami finds something undeniably earnest about her. Her responses to his questions strike him with their surprising honesty. Miwa opens up about her struggles, admitting she feels off-kilter in her professional interactions. Her tone, though professional, seems to miss the mark of authentic engagement. "I'm told I'm doing all right, but I keep hearing that Sakura might be deceiving me," she confesses. Ogami, intrigued by her candid nature, sees the moment as an opportunity to impart guidance. He suggests, be someone who doesn't do as expected, just the right degree. This advice, given with a hint of levity, leaves Miwa contemplative but grateful. Following this encounter, Ogami drives back to town, lost in thought. His car, more a cocoon of contemplation than a means of transport, becomes the setting for his reflections. He muses over Miwa's words and how they resurrect memories of Sumika Takasago, a figure from his past whose ending was as abrupt as it was sorrowful. A haunting voice on the phone had earlier informed him of Sumika's demise, but skepticism lingers in Ogami's mind. Despite the belief that it could offer closure, Ogami wrestles with the reality that unresolved memories persist, their tenacity binding him to unresolved guilt. It is this unresolved tension that draws him back toward Sakura, the place of his youth, the supposed resting town for Sumika, and the epicenter of his emotional undoing. As Ogami returns to his origins, the texture of his memories sharpens, particularly of an old schoolmate, Kozaki. The specter of Kozaki, a bright but burdened youth, hangs like a shadow over Ogami's reflective journey. Kozaki's tragic end, a suicide years ago, marked the beginning of a series of emotionally tumultuous times. When Ogami recalls Kozaki, nostalgia hues his sorrow with vivid colors. Kozaki wasn't merely a statistic in the grim ledger of loss, but a person with a symphony of memories intertwined with Ogami's youth. Kozaki had once admitted his struggles to Ogami during a hospital visit, an ironic sanctuary that provided both respite and isolation. Here, Kozaki revealed the handcuff, a bracelet worn by many, a device promising wellness but leashed by stringent societal pressures. This handcuff became an emblem not only of health vigilance but social expectation. Many, like Kozaki, found its presence less comforting and more binding, a perpetual reminder of human fragility and societal scrutiny. Despite the emblematic chains, Kozaki remained warm-hearted, finding camaraderie within hospital walls. "I've got more friends here," he would say with a laugh, dismissing the acrid taste of hospital meals with humor that belied deeper struggles. In the present, Ogami wrestles with the implications of these memories. Revisiting Sakura, laden with the unresolved echoes of youth, becomes a quest for closure, an attempt to address the grievances tied to Sumika's death and Kozaki's silent cries for help. The backdrop of Sakura frames this haunting journey as Ogami navigates through the past's tendrils, rooted deeply in forgotten friendships and unfinished farewells. This inward journey stirs a chaotic symphony of memories, a blend of vivid emotions and elusive closure. And as Ogami stands at the crossroad of present decisions and past grievances, each step toward Sakura is both a burden and a salve, promising reconciliation for a haunted heart. Through Miwa's honesty, Kozaki's friendship, and the echoes of Sumika, Ogami is thrust into a labyrinth of memories where the heart seeks solace in the town still holding secrets and silent promises of redemption. A heavy snowfall blankets the town as Ogami listens to Kazuki, who inquires about Ogami's schoolwork. Ogami feigns interest, attributing his diligence to his mother's encouragement. Kazuki, unconvinced, probes further, suggesting that Ogami has his eyes on someone named Sakura. Ogami deflects, implying it's not romantic interest but acknowledges that Sakura has left an impression on him. In class, the student's attention shifts to the falling snow outside. The classroom buzzes with a mix of admiration and disruption, eventually prompting the teacher to intervene. Amidst this distraction, Ogami stares at Sumika, a girl who seems to draw others in effortlessly. Her presence in the class is so magnetic that Ogami has noticed her from day one, although he is aware of the subtle yet palpable pressure she exerts on those around her. Later, Ogami pretends not to notice Sumika's casual attempts to engage him. Sumika's beauty and poise make her stand out, but Ogami struggles to understand what captivates him. To him, she seems unreachable, like a beacon he is involuntarily drawn to yet slightly wary of. One day during recess, Sumika approaches Ogami, speaking tentatively. She seems to want to bridge the distance between them, and Ogami is taken aback by her directness. As they converse, Ogami notices how this interaction captures the attention of their classmates, observing them like curious onlookers. Their meeting feels like an anomaly, a break in the usual social order. Sumika chastises Ogami for not confessing about their shared punishment, suspecting him of something devious. Ogami, taken aback by the accusation, insists he doesn't pay attention to their schoolmates. Sumika seems to read more into his actions, interpreting them in ways Ogami didn't intend. Later, Ogami muses about their conversation, suspecting that Sumika has her own reasons for engaging with him. As days pass, Sumika often walks home with Ogami. Ogami remains puzzled by her motivations, unsure if her actions stem from genuine interest or something deeper. One evening after school, as they part ways, Ogami returns home deep in thought, reflecting on how Sumika's presence has subtly shifted the dynamics in his life. Despite the ambiguity surrounding their interactions, there's a growing familiarity he can't ignore. Then flashbacks take us to Ogami's early school days. Events unfold during the Culture Festival, a cornerstone of Japanese school life, filled with performances that create camaraderie yet also competition. Ogami finds himself relegated to backstage roles, preferring the shadows rather than the spotlight. His classmates, lacking dramatic flair, still work together to put on the best performances they can. Enter Kujirai, a peer whose blunt and often callous demeanor rubs others the wrong way. During rehearsals, he criticizes his classmates, especially focusing on Ogami and Sumika. Kujirai's blunt remarks about their acting sting, suggesting they're the only ones who understand anything about performances. Despite the tension, Ogami finds a strange camaraderie with Kujirai, albeit a prickly one. Kujirai often pushes Ogami into situations he'd rather avoid, yet an unspoken bond forms over shared experiences. After one such rehearsal, Kujirai and Ogami visit Kujirai's home. It's there Ogami discovers an unexpected side to Kujirai, evidenced by the array of CDs and obscure interests that reveal a more introspective personality beneath his brash exterior. Kujirai casually invites Ogami to watch a movie, an obscure film from his collection. The two watch it in silence, and as the film concludes, Kujirai inquires about Ogami's thoughts. Ogami's response, though non-committal, is met with a rare nod of approval from Kujirai, who seems satisfied with the shared moment of understanding. Thus, even amidst adolescent uncertainties and school pressures, small moments of connection emerge, hinting at deeper friendships and personal growth. Ogami finds himself navigating these waters, tethered by his interactions with Sumika and Kujirai, as their paths converge in unexpected ways. This gradual unfolding of relationships marks a profound transformative phase for him, amidst the falling snow in the town of Sakura. Ogami reflects on the advice from Kujirai about acting during a leisurely day at the cultural festival. Kujirai suggests that making the audience think they're good isn't the goal is for the audience to perceive this naturally. The popcorn was tasty, Ogami remarks, as they gaze at the now silent screen. It's a profound exchange that challenges Ogami's perspective on performance, sparking an unspoken realization. As Ogami visits Kujirai's garage every day, the setting for their friendship evolves. They bond over movies, gathered in genre-themed binge sessions, from old westerns to beloved classics. However, some films carry an emotional weight that stirs hidden feelings in them both, particularly when it's Sumika in the mix. Her presence in the garage becomes a regular occurrence, and the three of them find themselves developing a unique dynamic. One day, while Ogami and Sumika are on their way to school, she unexpectedly asks if they are friends. Ogami affirms with a smile. Their trio grows tighter through shared experiences, Sumika seeking refuge from home at the garage. Ogami feels the trio's bond deepening beyond simple friendship, remarking how comfortable it feels. Amid this growing closeness, Ogami detects something off in his dynamic with Sumika and Kujirai. The ease of their friendship almost hints at fragility, especially with Kujirai's quiet affection for Sumika lingering unspoken. These feelings infringe on Ogami's peace, but he masks his own affections to maintain harmony among the friends. Despite this awareness, the allure of their connection keeps him drawn to the garage. Kujirai's wisdom about choosing film projects wisely mirrors Ogami's reflections about relationships. Sumika's continued visits bring unspoken tensions to the surface, the thin line between friendship and deeper affection clearly visible yet unvoiced. The summer heat makes the garage feel like more than just a hideaway, as it becomes a comforting salon. Together, they explore, going on day trips that signify a shift in their once casual meetings. These outings highlight the relational shifts between Ogami, Kujirai, and Sumika. Somehow, the trio moves effortlessly through awkward moments, preserving the essence of their bond. During later conversations, the trio discusses a rumor about a handcuff love divination app, sparked by background noises in their usual chat group. Ogami finds their conversation both amusing and somewhat grounded, using this moment to ponder how technology intersects with human emotions. His curiosity leads him to examine his feelings towards Sumika and Kujirai even further. On Christmas Eve, this unusual trio spends their time together in Kujirai's garage, a ritual formed out of winter necessity and pure comfort. There's hesitation from Ogami regarding gift-giving, unsure of how to express himself genuinely without upsetting the balance of their unique friendship. Yet, watching Sumika's face light up as she receives a small gift from Ogami brings a notable warmth. Later, Ogami stumbles upon an unexpected discovery when he visits Kujirai's house, only to find Sumika there with him. An intense wave of confusion floods him as he eavesdrops and catches strands of their conversation, feeling like an outsider to a friendship he once only shared with Kujirai. Such moments of discomfort shake his understanding, realizing how complex their friendship has grown. Ogami's feelings shift as he awakes the next morning, reflecting deeply on his own role within this trio. Confronted with Sumika's warm greeting, he resolves not to let personal emotions cloud their connection. His acceptance of this newfound dynamic opens a pathway to appreciating their timeless friendship. Amidst the quiet complexities that underlie their interactions, Ogami hopes to preserve the special moments shared with Sumika and Kujirai. He cherishes the sincere interactions, understanding that even as their paths twist together in unexpected ways, such evolving relationships only strengthen their bond. Sumika's sudden approach catches Ogami off guard. Reflecting on a past misunderstanding that left Sumika's face tear-streaked, Ogami realizes how much things have changed. He recalls the pressure he felt to explain the situation back then, yet the opportunity slipped away, leaving a bitter taste in their friendship. Now, the distance between them seems insurmountable, like a chasm he can't bridge. December brings with it a peculiar discovery for Ogami. He awakes to find himself introduced to an app named Blossom Buddy. Contrary to its cheerful name, the app presents a barren, desolate tree, a stark contrast to its purpose, assessing and determining suicide risk. Ogami is somewhat relieved that its mysterious analysis pointed to him having no immediate danger. Yet, the revelation of a suicide risk causes Ogami to reflect deeply. The system, it turns out, uses such analyses to provide high-risk individuals with an undercover supporter called a prompter. Prompters engage with individuals deemed at risk, a subtle suggestion of being there for them, all to prevent the shadow of Sakura delusion. It's a delicate balance, keeping people feeling connected while subtly aiding their mental state. Ogami muses over Kozaki's words, what if Sakura delusion already marks him, driving him to times of isolation and distress unknowingly caused by the presence of Sakura? The weight of not knowing almost crushes him. But what if it wasn't just him? Could Sumika be his Sakura, caught in the same invisible web? As thoughts spiral, the memory of Sumika, unknowingly wearing the mask of a prompter and fulfilling that role perfectly during class groups, hits him. Her kindness wasn't just a facade, it seemed genuine, making him question everything. But he shakes away the doubt, urging himself to stay focused on reality. Initially preparing for a shared Christmas party with Sumika and Kujirai, Ogami's unease flutters. his mind recognizes Sumika's potential role, and an unspoken truth hovers over their interactions. Despite this, he chooses not to act, submerged in contemplation over easily deciphering his handcuff data pointing to Sakura delusion. When Christmas comes around, Ogami finds himself hesitant to break his silence to Sumika. Imagining scenarios where he could confront her about her role as a Sakura, he falters, caught between fear and hope. As the situation unfolds, he approaches Sumika's home, overly cautious but determined. He watches her, the cold biting but subdued compared to the warmth he seeks. Finally, Sumika breaks the silence, spurring a conversation that had been long delayed. Walking by the shrouded streets, Sumika rekindles a memory by the railroad crossing, confronting the reality of their roles. Her bluntness about initially disliking Ogami strikes a chord, but as the present blends with past emotions, the harshness blurs into the warmth of honesty. Ogami attempts to comprehend her words against the cold, unyielding backdrop of Sakura's truth, nearly overwhelmed by gratitude and sadness. This dialogue wasn't just about reckoning with their designated roles, it signified something far deeper, a quest for connectivity that transcends obligations and expectations. As the train of fate rushes past, the persistent bell ringing in Ogami's mind transforms the town into a mysterious tapestry woven with incomprehensible patterns. This was his home, the town of Sakura, echoing both unknown despair and uncanny tranquility. Ogami later visits Kujirai's house, revealing his intent to cast light upon his suspicions about their roles. However, Sumika's panic reflects the risk of losing everything, her facade, their friendships, and the protective veil the system wove around them. Nevertheless, she and Kujirai choose to stand by their decisions, with Sumika expressing a commitment to support Ogami till the bitter end. Winter passes, and as the trio faces school's end, their relationship falls into a web of awkward silence. Classmates' reluctance to approach Ogami reinforces his perceived outsider status, but inside, he feels inexplicably grateful for the warmth Kujirai and Sumika extended, knowing full well the scripted nature of their bond. Bidding farewell to familiar grounds and past affections, Ogami adopts a steely resolve. He realizes the surreal comfort he felt in their companionship may have been artificial, but the pain of breaking free fuels his determination, and perhaps, his eventual redemption. Ogami's part-time jobs and efforts to live independently bring clarity. He's no longer held captive by the romance of being cared for but turns pain into strength. The future awaiting him may be uncertain, and his relationship with individuals like Sumika complexly woven, yet his spirit steels, ready to confront what lies beyond the confining borders of the town of Sakura. Ogami reflects on his interactions with Sumika over 2 years, realizing he never set foot inside her house. This memory brings him to the present day as he stands before the same home, now with her younger sister, Kasumi, who resembles Sumika yet has distinct differences. Confusion and a sense of nostalgia wash over Ogami as he addresses Kasumi. Amid their tense introduction, Kasumi is visibly wary and questions Ogami about his relationship with her late sister. "What was my sister to you?" she demands sharply. Ogami, recalling Sumika's cryptic messages about her ex-friend, confirms this to Kasumi, who seems dissatisfied yet curious. Kasumi's demeanor shifts between suspicion and a certain need to understand why Ogami has suddenly appeared after so long. Ogami attempts to navigate the conversation, mindful of Kasumi's mix of grief and guardedness. He notes that she bears a striking resemblance to Sumika, yet there's an unfamiliar air about her. Kasumi, displaying surprising maturity, speaks with a knowing bitterness, "I'm someone who knows my sister associated with better than anyone." This statement reveals her depth of awareness regarding Sumika's life and relationships, hinting at layers of complexity in their family dynamic. Engaging in a cautious dialogue, Kasumi expresses disbelief over her sister's apparent suicide. She suspects unresolved issues, implying that Sumika's death was not straightforward. Her voice carries the weight of someone who has carried secrets too heavy for her years. Curious about the past, Kasumi asks if Ogami knew much about Sumika, probing for any insight into the enigmatic events leading to her death. Ogami, caught between wanting to respect Sumika's memory and the pressing need for closure, is unable to offer a definitive answer. As they walk towards the train station, Kasumi mentions that Ogami has grown. Ogami is reminded of the passage of time, recalling his high school years with faint clarity. Despite the time that has ensued, he feels an unexplained pull towards this town and the shadows of Sumika's unresolved mystery. Kasumi openly remarks that Ogami is not who he used to be, while Ogami notes her maturity, recognizing how experiences have molded her into a resilient individual. Kasumi presents a vivid picture of Sumika struggling with emotional turmoil, hinting that her sister had undergone drastic changes leading up to her death. This revelation paints a somber backdrop, as Ogami begins to see his role in this narrative as more than incidental. Arriving at the station, Kasumi confides that Sumika left behind no note, and thus no explanations. As they part, Kasumi entrusts Ogami with seeking closure for them both. Boarding the train for a brief respite from the intensity of the past few hours, Ogami's mind is a whirlwind of reflections and unanswered questions. His departure from the station becomes symbolic of leaving old traumas behind, but Sumika's ethereal presence lingers. Emphasizing his mission, Ogami returns home to find an envelope marked important. It intriguingly contains a selection notice, appointing him as a prompter, an unexpected responsibility connecting him further to Kasumi's world. The irony of returning yet being compelled into another affair tied to Sumika's legacy is not lost on him. Ogami's return to the town of Sakura marks the beginning of new alliances and confrontations with past ghosts. Though he wrestles with discomfort and memories, his resolve is strengthened by Kasumi's plea for answers. Their shared agenda becomes apparent, to uncover Sumika's truth and navigate the latent dangers and revelations that lie in wait. As the night deepens, Ogami finds himself climbing the dark stairs of a familiar building. Kasumi guides him to a room that once belonged to Sumika, which evokes a mix of nostalgia and sadness. The room, though untouched, feels vibrant with memories of the past. Upon entering, Ogami notices Kasumi's effort to make him feel welcome. She prepares tea, and as they sit under the soft glow of the bluish-gray pendant light, the two share a quiet moment. The room becomes warm and filled with a nostalgic scent, blending their shared memories with the present moment. Ogami reflects on the past, remembering Sumika as a talented but elusive girl. Kasumi, her younger sister, recalls visiting Sumika often when she moved for college. Despite Sumika's initial struggle, she eventually built her independence, surprising those who thought they knew her well. Kasumi shares, of course, living independently didn't do much to improve my sister's introverted nature. People you could even say were acquaintances gradually drifted away from her. The conversation shifts to Sumika's interest in acting. Ogami learns that it was Kasumi who encouraged Sumika to join an acting troupe, a suggestion that ended up changing Sumika's demeanor. My very suggestion to join an acting troupe came from my desire to bring back the best of my sister, Kasumi admits with a bittersweet tone. The acting troupe becomes a catalyst for Sumika's transformation. It brings unexpected joy and challenges that help her grow. Kasumi observes, she grew closer with the troupe, and felt the sense of belonging she never seemed to grasp otherwise. Ogami inquires about the present, wanting to follow up with the troupe leader. Kasumi agrees to share her contact information, and as she does, they exchange a brief moment of understanding, threading a connection through shared memories and mutual respect. Later, while leaving Kasumi's house, Ogami reflects on the bond he's begun to forge with Kasumi. Talk about an easy-to-handle target, he muses, realizing how quickly a connection had formed between them, almost naturally. The narrative shifts to Ogami's analysis of the Sakura delusion phenomenon. He considers the factors that cause someone to fall into this condition. Many, like Ogami himself, find comfort in the isolation that follows being chosen as a Sakura. The learned helplessness becomes a barrier to forming meaningful relationships. However, those who overcome the delusion often find new purpose, engaging in roles that allow them to offer kindness and support to others. These individuals, having braved the storm of their own emotions, often become pillars of strength for those around them. Ogami ponders this transformation as he waits for his next meeting with Kasumi. He considers the nuances of their shared grief and how it ties them together. Sitting in Sumika's old, cold apartment, he finds some solace in the routine, quiet nights, the regular tick of a nearby clock tower, and the rhythmic hum of a washing machine. Soon, Ogami prepares to visit a mental health and welfare center. It's a place where he feels both familiar and worn down. There, he embraces the structured environment, allowing him to stay grounded amidst chaos. As Ogami engages in training sessions at the center, he reflects on his own experiences with counseling and suppression of his own desires. It's during these sessions, particularly when interacting with those at risk of succumbing to Sakura delusion, that Ogami feels the weight of his own journey. He meets various individuals, each carrying their own burdens. Among them, a 14-year-old boy strikes a chord with Ogami. The boy resists talking about his feelings, yet Ogami senses a kindred spirit in his silence, an understanding of their shared unspoken pain. Unexpectedly, a call from Kasumi interrupts Ogami's contemplations. She informs him about a sudden break in the acting troupe. Eager to assist, Ogami agrees to approach the troupe leader, using it as an opportunity to deepen his connection with Kasumi. As their story continues to unfold, the line between past and present becomes ever more blurred, each interaction building upon the last in this intricate tapestry of emotions and memories. On a chilly afternoon, Ogami finds himself on the phone with Kasumi, a voice coming through with a sense of urgency and slight distress. Kasumi reveals she's at a lunch break from her acting group rehearsal. Ogami responds with some confusion, "Are you calling from school?" To which Kasumi clarifies, indicating it's typical for her to visit the rehearsals during school hours. The conversation shifts to concern as Kasumi hints at trouble, subtly mentioning her sister's association with the group. "My sister always just said, troop leader, you see," she says wistfully, her voice carrying an undertone of forgotten memories. Ogami acknowledges her affinity with the group and promises to stay in touch, urging her to call him when the conversation ends, even late at night. Ogami's resolve is reinforced as he deliberates on what actions to take next. Should he investigate the troupe further, even if it means confronting past relationships? His connection with Kasumi and her family seems deeper than just casual. As the clock strikes 2 p.m., Ogami sets off to the old warehouse where the troupe practices. The space is familiar, utilized previously as a rehearsal hall, its structural simplicity almost akin to home. An old pickup truck signifies recent activity as footprints are evident in freshly fallen snow. Ogami takes cautious steps, leading him to a figure ahead, the troupe leader, exhaling weary breaths into the cold air. Greetings are exchanged, albeit awkwardly, and the leader, a man of modest height with a nondescript appearance, relays his concerns nonchalantly. "Sorry it's so cold." Disposed of the heater yesterday, he mentions matter-of-factly. Ogami assesses his demeanor, not aggressive, but laced with an air of past burdens carried forward. Discussions veer toward troupe dynamics. The leader speaks of deep troubles with Sumika, yet his frustration seems far removed. "She ruined my troupe. Of course, I've got my doubts, too." He admits that she was once a significant part of the troupe's success but now stands as a core of discord. Ogami listens intently, piecing together that Sumika was engulfed in a vortex of serious trouble. Clarity comes when the leader reflects on his past, recalling how he'd once been a Sakura too, a role bestowed on him with school performances, a matter which had unexpectedly shaped his life's journey. The narrative of the troupe leader's experiences as a Sakura fleshes out further. In high school, he performed roles that tested his endurance and charisma, with peers like Kokimoto and Yuzuzumi eventually recognizing the talent he possessed, propelling them to form a troupe together. Initially, the acting troupe flourished. The leader fondly recounts the ease with which challenges were overcome, and performances were brought to life. However, the slowing momentum placed strain on inter-member relationships. With Sumika's addition, dynamics shifted, and her distinct presence became both a highlight and a burden. Sumika, talented yet misunderstood, had become an irreplaceable pedestal within the troupe, but tensions festered beneath the surface. The leader bemoans his earlier decision, perhaps tinged with frustration and regret, his role in unintentionally catalyzing these shifts. With rehearsals disrupted, he contacts fellow members but is met with silence. Attempts to uncover plausible reasons for these absences render futile. This mystifies him further, especially when past colleagues such as Kokimoto and Yuzuzumi vanish without explanation. The troupe's cohesion, once robust, now hangs by a thread. The leader wrestles with thoughts. Could Sumika have orchestrated this discord? He can't comprehend her motivations, and the uncertainty gnaws. He resolves to meet her again, hoping for enlightenment. Even though the troupe implodes, he faces the unfolding chaos ready to confront truths, no matter how painful they may be. Thus, this narrative paints vivid portraits of aspiration, friendships forged and lost, and the complex tapestry woven by individual ambitions. Through persistence and reflection, Ogami and the troupe leader each grapple with their intertwined pasts, seeking solace in resolution and understanding. Their journey is emblematic of passion-driven paths shaped by unforeseen events, ultimately leading them towards introspection and the quest for redemption. In the aftermath of a tumultuous break within the troupe, the leader reflects on a heated argument that ultimately dissolved their group. This dissolution was triggered by personal conflicts involving Sumika, a pivotal yet controversial figure within the troupe. A member's strong dislike for Sumika and her attempts to manipulate relationships to her gain brought tension to a head. The leader recalls, "Everything I'd worked so hard to build was destroyed without my involvement." He realized the breaking point came from the emotional turmoil Sumika unknowingly incited. After the group's disbandment, Ogami converses with the former leader. Both reflect on the changes they underwent, including Ogami's burning questions about the past. The former leader shares his struggle to perform under constant scrutiny, admitting that jealousy clouded his passion for acting. He confesses, "It's like I suddenly lost my wings." Despite previous aspirations, he saw himself as trapped in a cycle of self-doubt and pressure. Later, as Ogami arrives back in the familiar town of Sakura, he meets Kasumi. It's evening, and they plan to gather in a supermarket rest area, a location steeped in personal history. Ogami observes the place, now buzzing with nostalgia. Kasumi senses Ogami's lingering curiosity about the troupe's past conflicts and opens up. She cautiously admits, "I worried that even if I told you things just as they were, you'd think I was betraying our brief because we're relatives." Kasumi elaborates on the complexities surrounding Sumika's behavior with the troupe. A solemn truth emerges: there were reasons beyond what was visible that justified Sumika's seemingly villainous actions. Kasumi shares, "If Sumika was mentally unstable, that might be reason enough, but could someone walk such a tightrope with 6 men for over half a year in such a state?" Strolling through the hushed town, Ogami and Kasumi engage in a reflective conversation, pondering about newfound perspectives. Kasumi brings up her future plans, mentioning the college her sister attended, but underlying themes of uncertainty and past attachments linger between their words. As they walk past a notable sign for the Kujirai family home, memories of unfulfilled connection swell in Ogami's mind. The conversation shifts towards an upcoming meeting with a mysterious woman referred to as teacher, a term used with respect and nostalgia. The link between Kasumi's sister and this enigmatic figure hints at a deeper, unexplored history. As time passes, a knock on Ogami's door introduces a new character, the detective. Without revealing much about his identity, this man, dressed in military garb, addresses Ogami with an alarming revelation. He suspects Sumika's death wasn't a suicide but murder. The detective articulates a belief that flaws in the troupe dynamic and relationships point to sinister possibilities. It's more likely a setup than a plausible suicide. Despite the tension, the detective remains enigmatically calm, probing into Ogami's knowledge as he guides conversations into obscure truths. He proposes that a web of deceit disguised as romance might underpin the tragic events. To Ogami, the detective says, "I suppose you truly have cause to believe it was murder, don't you?" This statement plants a seed of doubt in Ogami's mind as he contemplates the unseen forces at play. Their dialogue is interrupted by the detective extending an unexpected invitation, an investigation to reveal the haunting truths buried in Sumika's tragic end. Ogami, stirred by unresolved emotions and the inquisitive detective's presence, finds himself at a crossroads, to seek the truth or let the past remain buried. As they embark towards uncertain revelations, Ogami braces himself for the truths that lie ahead, pondering how these events might redefine his understanding of trust, betrayal, and the haunting legacy of Sumika. The detective and Ogami continue their investigation along a desolate and snowy path leading to a deteriorated parking area. Their flashlights flicker as they navigate this eerie landscape. Ogami notes no recent signs of life, only remnants in the form of caution tape sealing off a damaged car. The detective, still deeply haunted by the scene and its unsettling energy, finds himself drawn back into its mystery. Despite themselves, they make a playful attempt to lighten the mood. Ogami throws a snowball high into the air, wanting to hear it splash into the nearby river. However, silence fills the air, reinforcing how isolated they are in this grim area. Caught by the loneliness of the moment, the detective comments on the place's desolation. Ogami concedes that the spot can feel empty, especially without the vibrant energy of spring, which brought life through the blossoming cherry trees. This thought transitions Ogami back to memories of middle school days, where blooming cherry blossoms were a central highlight. Kujirai often sparked a sense of adventure by suggesting they follow the cherry blossom front southward. Eager to break from the monotony of school, Sumika and Ogami would agree, finding the blooming flowers irresistible. One impromptu excursion by the trio led them to an unexpectedly breathtaking sight. Upon reaching a town square, the trio stood agape beneath the vibrant canopy of cherry blossoms. That moment helped solidify their bond, creating a lasting connection to the beauty and transient nature of life. Back in the present, the detective drives Ogami back to his apartment. However, before departing, the detective urgently hands Ogami a business card. Reminded of an individual named Shogo Kujirai, Ogami listens as the detective recounts recent developments surrounding Sumika's mysterious death. This new information stirs a renewed sense of purpose within Ogami. With the detective gone, Ogami retreats into his room, reflecting deeply on the past. An intense coldness and loneliness seep into the walls, yet Ogami resolves to overcome their icy embrace. Memories of Kujirai fill his mind, recognizing that both he and Sumika served as protective Sakuras, guardians with a touch of empathy and kindness. Despite this recognition, Ogami questions if their shared role could have contributed to Sumika's demise. It was Sumika, after all, who made him reconsider his life's trajectory by urging kindness and presence. Caught up in these recollections, Ogami ponders a grim possibility: could Kujirai have been involved in Sumika's death? As morning breaks, Ogami carries the heavy burden of uncovering this truth. Memories surface of a time when he felt uninspired, his life colored by a monotonous routine. A surprise visit from a college student changed his life's direction, and not always for the better. Despite Ogami's attempts to evade emotional attachments, he grew close with Sumika, who consistently encouraged him to embrace life's unpredictable turns. Kasumi, another figure intersecting with Ogami's journey, drops by his apartment. She offers a subtle reprieve from his introspection, urging him to take action against the cold with practical solutions like a visit to the hardware store. Through her presence, Ogami realizes they share a yearning for the warmth of a botanical garden, a place symbolic of both memories and new beginnings. In the garden's distinctly atmospheric greenhouse, Ogami's previous visit with Sumika comes to mind. Warmth replaces the chilly air as they wander amongst exotic plants, reflecting on life cycles. Sumika's earlier conversation about the dark topics of life and death adds weight to the visit, probing into why people choose specific times to leave the world. Ogami and Sumika had spoken candidly about such matters, threading their youthful understanding of life through the lens of seasons. With Sumika's death now in the air, Ogami reflects on her statement about choosing to leave when she felt she had truly lived. These musings deepened his understanding of her actions and what might have driven her to the precipice. Kasumi, present now in the garden, finds joy in revisiting plants and shared memories. As they wander, Ogami observes her reactions and deepens his appreciation for their shared moments. Through his internal reflections, Ogami sees tangible proofs of life and continuity, sweetened by the prospect of growth and reconnection. The light-hearted discussion about their past school experiences unfolds, blending humor and nostalgia. Ogami recalls his high school graduation with a mix of somber reflection and light-hearted banter. Their walk continues as threads of the past and present weave seamlessly, forming a tapestry of understanding and acceptance, at least partially softening Ogami's heart with the realization of reaffirming connections, the very essence of being alive. After Kasumi brings up nostalgia about her sister, Ogami reflects on how Sumika used to talk about him. Kasumi shows genuine warmth, saying, "She always remembered you." Ogami considers the possibility that Sumika might have felt lonely after high school, noting that she rarely left the house on her days off. The setting shifts to a cafe where Ogami is to meet a teacher from his past. The atmosphere inside is calming, with patrons quietly enjoying their coffee, and the teacher is already waiting. she is distinct with her stark black attire, likening her appearance to a crow. Once seated, the teacher dives into their shared history with Sumika. Ogami admits, "She was my prompter." They reflect on Sumika's role and why Ogami might have left the troupe. The teacher observes that Ogami was the first to sense Sumika's potential dangers, acknowledging his emotional instincts. The narrative then delves into Sumika's history with the troupe. The teacher recalls how Sumika was noticed for her unique talents, described metaphorically as having the same scent as the teacher. Sumika quickly became a central figure, naturally drawing admiration. The teacher's sense of urgency grew, feeling her own spotlight was dimming as Sumika's grew brighter. This relationship lasted for about 2 years, during which the teacher saw Sumika as both a protégé and a rival. However, things shifted when the troupe leader decided Sumika should take center stage more often, leaving the teacher in her shadow. Back in the present, the teacher reflects on her experience of perceived competitiveness with Sumika. She admits to feeling haunted by Sumika's presence, but rather than resentment, she opted to view it through the lens of admiration. Ogami listens, processing her story and recognizing it as a complex narrative of admiration turned rivalry. Ogami, reflecting on his own history with Sumika, acknowledges that despite their past, his investigation into Sumika's past may have been biased. He realizes the necessity of speaking with Kujira, as this might provide clarity on Sumika's mysterious past. There is no deep animosity towards Sumika on Kujira's part, apparently, hinting at deeper complexities yet to be unraveled. The chapter concludes with Ogami acknowledging that he must seek answers elsewhere, knowing that understanding Sumika's impact on those around her requires unraveling the connections woven through their shared past. Ogami reflects on the time since Sumika's passing, frequently visiting members of the troupe to gather information about her life. Despite his efforts, most claim to know little, but he senses more than meets the eye. Kasumi, Sumika's sister, is rarely seen, only receiving news of her through brief interactions. Ogami often finds solace in these moments, suspecting Kasumi feels the same emotional impact of her sister's absence. On weekends, Kasumi's parents take care of her, but on weekdays, Ogami finds himself responsible for her well-being. She often visits him, engaging in playful conversations or even napping in his bed. Their rapport is light-hearted, yet Ogami senses a deeper connection beneath the surface. He muses over the complexities of his feelings for Kasumi, contemplating how different his life might be if things had unfolded differently. Meanwhile, Ogami maintains a cautious relationship with the detective involved in Sumika's case. The investigator, intrigued by Ogami's insights, occasionally drops by for discussions. During one visit, the detective brings a projector, showing old footage from the troupe's performances, a glimpse into the past Ogami is eager to understand. Watching these videos with the detective becomes a ritual, each session lasting hours. They savor popcorn together, a simple pleasure amidst their shared task. Ogami begins to grasp the depth of talent Sumika possessed, recognizing the unique dynamic she shared with each troupe member, including Kujirai. One pivotal night, the projector pauses unexpectedly, leaving Ogami in suspense. As he reflects on Sumika's last performance, he contemplates the subtle brilliance of her craft, every gesture, every word meticulously placed, leading him to question if her death was merely an accident or part of her artistic expression. After one session, the detective shares his belief that Sumika's tragedies in art mirrored her own life, implying that her end was an unintended cessation rather than a conscious choice. This perspective, although challenging, resonates with Ogami, stirring a myriad of emotions. As they linger on discussions about Sumika, Ogami recalls how trust was complex, especially when considering Kujirai's involvement. The detective probes Ogami's perception of Kujirai, seeking to understand if he might harbor ill intentions. Ogami, however, trusts Kujirai implicitly, denying any suggestion of his involvement in Sumika's demise. In the aftermath of these revelations, Ogami frequently visits a bathhouse for solace, reflecting on the unfolding events and his evolving understanding of those around him. It is during one such visit, late in the evening, that he encounters an unexpected figure, a woman who introduces herself as Kasumi Takasago's prompter. Ogami's curiosity is piqued, realizing she holds answers to questions he never thought to ask. the woman reveals that several prompters have worked with Kasumi, but none succeeded as Ogami has, sparking intrigue about what sets him apart. This revelation leaves Ogami contemplating his unique connection with Kasumi, pondering the dynamics of trust, responsibility, and the roles they unwittingly play in each other's lives. As he delves deeper into these relationships, Ogami remains steadfast in his pursuit of understanding the complexities surrounding Sumika's life and death. Ogami sits in a conversation with the educator, delving into the delicate topic of Kasumi's late sister, Sumika. The educator probes deeply, suspecting there's more to Kasumi's behavior than just her sister's passing. There are cases besides her sister's death, suggests the educator, urging Ogami to think this over. Ogami ponders the impact of the system, a mechanism designed to alert them of suicidal tendencies. Could the system be flawed or slow to act? Ogami quietly aligns with this idea, considering the devastating impact if Kasumi were misunderstood by it. Despite these heavy thoughts, he marvels at Kasumi's charm, recalling their school days and how she'd captivate both him and her peers effortlessly. Kasumi, although surrounded by friends, has grown weary and isolated since Sumika's departure. As Ogami checks on her, she utters, "My body feels sluggish today," revealing how deeply her sister's absence affects her. Ogami tries to instill some strength, yet knows she struggles with sleep-deprived nights, haunted by an unnerving hollowness. One night, after encouraging Kasumi to rest, Ogami realizes he hasn't inspected her smartphone. As he scrolls through an old photo album, he's struck by the countless photos of Sumika. Any thought of Kasumi is eclipsed by her sister's memory, preserved meticulously in these images. Ogami is unsettled, sensing an unhealthy attachment living through a digital shrine. Days pass, and Ogami finds himself seeking guidance from a counselor about Kasumi's possible suicidal tendencies. The counselor's voice is calm, skilled in handling such grave situations, and advises Ogami on how to address potential signs in Kasumi. Talking helps, the counselor remarks, sharing insights on preventing despair. Ogami's conversation takes an unexpected turn when Kasumi's father mentions their dilemma. He's found comfort using a phone booth late at night, ironically, the same one Ogami is now using. They discuss Kasumi's signs of distress, which had been apparent well before Sumika's passing, urging everyone into a heightened state of vigilance. Reflecting on Sumika's disappearance, her father recounts the day she vanished, a day they had hoped to intervene. But Sumika had already detached from those who loved her, leaving behind only remnants of her once prolific life. Despite their intense efforts, they couldn't prevent her self-destruction. Kasumi's father cryptically suggests Sumika did something horrifying before taking her life. Could this revelation direct more sorrow onto Kasumi? Ogami is left to ponder what sins his role as a prompter might uncover. With March 1st marking Kasumi's graduation day, Ogami prepares for the event under a snow-laden sky. As he approaches her home, he questions if Kasumi will be ready to move forward, the weight of unspoken words uniting them amid the chill of reality. As the story unfolds, Ogami reflects on his recent conversations with Kasumi, realizing how different they are from the meaningless interactions he had before. The past month with her has been transformative, filled with genuine exchanges that reveal a new way of living beyond work. Ogami contemplates the kindness he has shown to Kasumi, recognizing that it stemmed from a deep unfulfilled part of his past in the town of Sakura. As he awaits Kasumi, Ogami spots her standing at the edge of a cliff, momentarily gripped by the fear that she might jump. However, he soon understands her presence there. Kasumi is someone who would never take such a drastic step, and her resilience reassures him. When Kasumi joins Ogami in the car, a conversation ensues about the cherry blossoms. Although they forgot to include a corsage of cherry blossoms, it seemed less significant since they were off to a shopping mall instead of a school graduation. Ogami muses over the fleeting bloom of cherry blossoms, symbolizing hope and new beginnings, and how their absence signifies missed moments with friends. Kasumi admits she never attended her graduation, deepening the bond between them. After driving for hours, they reach a quiet, elderly-filled shopping mall, a place now filled with fragmented memories for Ogami. Passing through the remnants of his past, they explore shops with lingering scents and fading memories. Kasumi suggests they take a moment to enjoy coffee together, a rare indulgence for them both. During the drive back, Ogami offers advice about prompters, and the conversation gently touches on the significant changes he has undergone since meeting Kasumi. She points out that he has helped her adjust to her new life, a thought that brings warmth to Ogami's heart. As their journey continues, the weight of his confession grows. Ogami reveals that once, he had thoughts similar to Kasumi's. He mentions the role of being a Sakura and explains how he has found solace and strength in this rebirth. Kasumi listens, contemplating the complexity of their lives intertwined by fate and choice. Kasumi is brought into the circle of Ogami's honest reflections on their shared past and present, bonding over the roles they play and the lives they lead. A light-hearted moment emerges when Ogami fixes the corsage on the dashboard, highlighting the blend of life's trivial and profound events. 3 nights later, Kasumi visits Ogami. The cold environment hints at endurance, as they sip whiskey to keep warm. Light banter reveals hidden depths and offers a quiet release from the burdens they both carry. As they discuss the meaning of life and their individual roles, Ogami finds himself drawn into the idea of life scripts and how they have chosen to break free from them. Ogami's connection with his former life and the rehearsals he shares with Kasumi touches upon memories both painful and enlightening. Kasumi's presence provides clarity, reminding Ogami that life's dramas often have more profound, underlying truths. As they rehearse for their theater productions in snow-laden settings, Ogami and Kasumi discover new perspectives on life and death that drive their transformations. With each rehearsal, Ogami confronts his past, and Kasumi symbolizes his renewed hope for the future. Embracing each other's presence, they find solace in shared stories among falling snowflakes, where the mundane turns magical. In honest reflections, Ogami admits he struggled with the idea of life without meaning until he found purpose in being Kasumi's Sakura. These experiences, shared in silence and understanding, bind them together, reflecting back their needs and fears, ultimately reminding them of life's transitory beauty. Ogami stands outside with Kasumi as she reflects on the nature of tragic connections, musing, double suicides are generally done by family or lovers. Ogami finds the notion unsettling in the chilly air. Kasumi suggests, maybe it'd be more natural if you buried your thoughts, too, showing a deeper concern for the struggles Ogami might be facing. Touching his shoulder, she adds, you, me, and my sister. And you both. Then since I'm so much for you, maybe it'd be natural if I had touch as much, right? Ogami is initially confused but realizes what Kasumi might be implying. He mulls over how his close relationship with the sisters has become complicated by responsibilities and emotions. Kasumi continues, we can't become lovers. We can't die with a stranger. Ogami processes her words in silence, trying to make sense of the delicate complexity of their relationship. The next day, Ogami wakes up late, carrying the weight of the night's reflection. He makes coffee and eats alone, slowly feeling the passage of time slip by, accelerating his worries. Restless, he ventures out after 5 p.m., searching for a way to fill the empty hours. As he wanders the streets, the frustrations of an unfulfilled day weigh heavily on him until a small, subtly charming variety shop catches his eye. Inside, Ogami is captivated by the shop's nostalgic aura, reminding him of simpler times. Among the curiosities, he spots a familiar man who triggers a cascade of memories. This man, with whom he shares a past yet initially cannot recognize, triggers unease. Something the man says finally clicks, connecting this man to a time of bereavement for Ogami. Sumika Takasago has killed herself, resonates within Ogami once more, the words echoing in his thoughts like a mournful bell. Following the man, Ogami discovers he is Soma. Despite years of distance, Soma remembers the intimate web of connections and regrets that tangled their youth. As they sit over a meal, Soma reveals his heard about Sumika, who once was an overshadowing presence in Ogami's life. Soma confesses admiration for her, acknowledging a near-rivaling affection he never voiced, and wonders if Ogami had hoped for Sumika's death. Ogami's internal conflict stirs, remembering moments lost and words unsaid. Their conversation treads on old, familiar ground. Soma remarks, it's the first time we've prepared for a graduation ceremony after all. This comment brings a softened close to their meal, tipping the scales towards a bittersweet realization of growth and change. The days pass with an ethereal sense of calm before the inevitable storm. Ogami moves through the motions, delving into books about suicides and reflecting on the circumstances shared by those who decide to end their lives. Kasumi's words, and the subtle implications behind them, echo persistently. As Ogami revisits places tied to memories of Sumika, he senses more than just loss, there's an eerie tranquility within him. Memories feel like tangible entities, urging him while keeping distance. He returns home to find his parents absent, magnifying his solitude and the hollow silent spaces around him. The absence of sound in his childhood home exaggerates the importance of self-awareness Ogami has developed over time. The narrative shifts towards preparation. Ogami and Kasumi test the waters for what's to come, both in a literal sense and in the depths of their minds. Kasumi's resolve, paired with Ogami's supportive silence, forms a bond of mutual understanding. They share cryptic words, preparing not only physically but mentally for closing chapters long in the making. Ogami remains thoughtful, towing the thin line between fate's inevitable pull and the longing for a resolved presence. The fear of forgotten connections, of leaving behind words unspoken, lingers as he finds solace in the fleeting, soft moments shared with those entwined in his story. As freezing waters cascade down, Ogami knows the culmination of their journey is near, casting hope and uncertainty towards whatever may come next. As the crisp air pinches their skin, Kasumi laughs with a ticklish warmth. She muses aloud about how the scene at the snowy park would have looked charming had it been summer, draped in greenery instead. Ogami briefly wonders if the moment deserves more thought, though he quickly lets it pass, focusing on their friendly exchange. Switching positions, Ogami gives Kasumi his spot near the heater. The warmth is comforting, a small luxury in their cold, snow-covered surroundings. Kasumi extends a thoughtful, though somewhat pained gesture of concern for Ogami, hinting at deeper, unspoken emotions. As they watch the sky darken, shifting from evening to night, uncertainty and worry cloud their conversation. The mention of Sumika, Kasumi's sister, hangs heavily over them. Ogami is curious, perhaps wary, about the significance of the place Sumika went to. Kasumi's voice softens as she wonders if it was some sort of message for them. Her choosing this place must have been some kind of message to you, right? In a moment of vulnerability, Kasumi confesses her belief that Sumika's death wasn't intentional, driven more by a distant plan than by despair. She posits that Sumika might have hoped for Ogami to save her. The realization is sharp and jarring. Ogami tries to dismiss the notion of having had the power to alter Sumika's fate, pointing out the unpredictable nature of life and decisions. She wanted to make others believe she regretted her actions, Kasumi muses. Or maybe she wanted to escape to somewhere like a hospital. Their conversation is fraught with the tension of what ifs and could have beens. Ogami feels a twist in his stomach at the premature conclusion Kasumi has arrived at, questioning whether he might somehow still be missing a crucial piece of the puzzle. Unexpectedly, Kasumi lightens the mood with a joke about Ogami becoming her Sakura someday. The light-hearted comment hangs in the air, a whisper of future possibilities amid present grief. Ogami offers a soft smile in response, their shared moment bridging an emotional chasm. In the still night, Ogami is roused from his introspection by a biting cold, which creeps through his body and makes him acutely aware of his surroundings. Each movement sends a jolt of pain through him, though it also reaffirms his grip on reality. He finds himself back in the car, fumbling with the keys to start the engine and warm the icy space around him. With determination, he coaxes life into the engine, praying for warmth. Despite his chilled state, Ogami's mind turns again to Kasumi. The air slowly warms, though he's left pondering the implications of their conversation and, more importantly, where Kasumi has gone. Ogami's steps trace back to where they had been, but he finds no sign of Kasumi, only the stirring memory of their dialogue. The footprints in the snow lead away, providing no clear direction. Despite the chill, Ogami ventures back to the park, reviewing their earlier discussion of Sumika's disappearance and Kasumi's fears. The specter of Sumika looms large, invigorating Ogami's will to understand more. With a resolute determination, Ogami finds himself propelled by memories and spoken words. He leaves the park, embracing an overwhelming need to make amends for the weight of secrets and the cracks they've caused in understanding Sumika's fate. The past haunts him, especially Kasumi's cryptic words, because I didn't want to think I'd ever need you. Or else she would have arranged for an easier way to die. In a secluded but familiar warmth, Ogami remakes his intention to face the unresolved inquiries head-on. A detective's arrival later that day brings a sense of revelation and confirmation. Questions that gnawed at him now linger openly in their conversation. With unassuming candor, Ogami explains every facet of what happened, untangling complex emotions and revelations, painting a vivid picture of his involvement with both Kasumi and Sumika. The conversation is punctuated by shared insights and reflections, exposing shared misunderstandings and truths. The detective's musings offer momentary solace, affirming that Sumika's choices weren't the outcome of Ogami's oversight, but rather a failure in perceiving depth beyond visible layers. The discussion leaves Ogami philosophically restless, allowing him space to ruminate on Sumika and Kasumi. Sumika's tragic death feels like an inevitable outcome, a culmination of earlier miscommunications and unresolved tensions. As the days stretch on, Ogami finds himself immersed in the unrelenting cold, paired with feelings of finality and closure. A powerful resolve builds within him to move forward, stepping out of the snowfall of confusion that enveloped Sumika's story. Sumika's death isn't the end, but a segue to understanding and bridging emotional gulfs. When a fierce April storm batters the town, Ogami retreats into the comfort of his apartment, reflecting on how the landscape has transformed. His relationship with the environment mirrors his inner transformation. In the confines of solitude, he encounters an old man who shares a piece of history, linking the past tenants of Ogami's room to the present, interwoven through acts of care and resilience. Their exchange, though sparse, connects Ogami's present to a tapestry of past experiences, encouraging him to cherish both burdens and blessings. Shoveling the heavy snow away offers him a cathartic outlet, unraveling remaining strands of doubt and freeing him from the frigid hold of unresolved enigmas. In the stillness following the storm, Ogami finds peace in the simple act of shoveling, closing a chapter defined by loss and opening another framed by understanding and acceptance. With each snow-laden scoop, he lays to rest old uncertainties, charting a new path forward. The poignant journey concludes at a crossroads of renewal and reflection, wrapped in Ogami's newfound clarity. Accepting the tangled legacy of the sisters, he commits to moving beyond heartache, trusting in the quiet comfort that blooms from understanding and connection. Ogami stands thoughtfully in the snow-covered streets, memories of conversations with an old man resurfacing. The old man frequently cleaned snow alone, a solitary figure amidst the winter landscape. Ogami recalls a cigarette shared in silence and a casual offer to help, confounded by the old man's assertion, "You have a quiet guy away," a recognition of Ogami's discreet nature. This unusual friendship provides comfort, allowing Ogami to find company in unusual places without needing an official introduction, an unspoken camaraderie under the Sakura delusion. Back in his room, Ogami contemplates the enigma of an old man's warnings about delusions. He inspects a box, wondering if a Sakura delusion might be afoot, or worse, his undoing. Drawing nearer, he realizes the room might hold clues, perhaps indicators of a former existence in his world, seemingly tailored to his persona. Old newspapers and leaflets scatter the flat, perhaps kindling for metaphorical fires, and the room feels lived in, albeit chaotically. Ogami's gaze falls upon a mysterious key amidst a pile, its presence unexplained. It appears to be for a car, left behind by Kujirai. Known for disapproving of Ogami, Kujirai's actions arouse curiosity. Ogami ponders their shared past, recalling a leather keychain, inadvertently gifted, yet still unreturned. This link to Kujirai tugs at Ogami's thoughts, compelling him to confront buried feelings and misunderstood gestures. Perplexed by Kujirai's phantom presence, Ogami revisits the riverside park. Memories of a fateful day with friends, Sumika, Kasumi, and himself, surface, where cherry blossoms, late in bloom, evoke nostalgia and missed opportunities. Surpassing physical reminders of old friendships, his musings linger on forgotten connections, symbolic of new beginnings. Here, the sparse blossoming momentarily alters Ogami's world, reminding him of April 10th, a date scripted by fate, as though Kujirai anticipated their reunion with nature's embrace. As the road unwinds, Ogami finds himself guided back to the past and into the deeper recess of his mind. He embarks anew, fulfilling a path lined with uncertainties yet budding with hope, connecting vividly with fragments of his journey bound by a shared Sakura delusion. Ogami's travels continue to unravel signs of his past with Sumika, their shared history weaving a tapestry of moments. He reflects on his navigational choice to avoid cherry blossoms, despite being crucial to his conscious decisions. Wandering aimlessly, darkness obscures clear vision, yet a strange pull draws him towards a shrine, glowing under moonlight in Sakura's shadow. The irregular torii gate beckons him forward, slowly unveiling a forgotten tale. Unearthing memories, a familiar notebook fills Ogami's hands, potentially holding Kujirai's last testament. In ambivalence, he explores intersections of regret and understanding, finding it cathartic. The letter unfolds secrets through musings on destiny, the intricacies of misjudged intentions, and genuine friendship. 10% chance, tops, Kujirai writes, confronting his uncertainties and the quest to reconcile friendships impaired by silence and misunderstanding. Kujirai details Sumika's connection to Ogami, tracing it to violin lessons in childhood, an unexpected familiarity born out of proximity. Sumika's mother steered her career, compelling Sumika to embrace reluctant responsibilities, creating a forced camaraderie between them. Ogami interprets this childhood tale, realizing what Sumika perceived, a semblance of destined affinity, unexplored due to mutual hesitation and societal obligations. Years later, shared classes reunited them, triggering echoes of the past, shaping Ogami's efforts to engage with Sumika's unwavering spirit. They were akin to isolated islands within a classroom, their bond a silent rebellion against conformity. Reflecting on these suppressed emotions, Ogami wrestles with self-doubt yet is driven by a keen awareness that even traditional friendships can have unconventional beginnings. Together, they navigate an unspoken world built on quiet resilience and nurturing connection, providing Ogami with a newfound appreciation for Sumika's silent strength. As the tangible realities of the past mix with the vibrant dreams of reclamation, Ogami girds himself to confront Sakura's enchantment, poised to uncover the layers beneath its deceptive bloom. Over 4 years, the narrator feels the distance between themselves and Sumika lessen, though only by a few centimeters. This slight change in Sumika's demeanor happens after the narrator unintentionally intervenes when others bully her, an act he quickly dismisses as simply wanting to feel better about himself. Despite being a loner like Sumika, he didn't approach her immediately. Sumika is an unusual girl, often staring at unrelated people when forced into communication. Her peculiarities soften when she reaches middle school. The transition isn't seamless, yet it allows her to blend in more, casting off the outlandish persona she had earlier. The narrator starts viewing Sumika differently. What initially was an appreciation evolves into a deeper admiration, which he suspects might be romantic interest. Their interactions grow warmer during winter. They meet at the skating rink, where Sumika shyly invites him to sit beside her and states earnestly, "Think about how to be next to me." It's not a romantic confession, but an invitation to understand her world. Sumika, firm in her Sakura delusion, suspects the narrator of being a prompter, a person vehemently present in her imagined reality, a reality filled with mysterious Sakuras. Instead of dispelling her illusion, he inadvertently feeds into it through their interactions at school, choosing not to clarify things. After winter break, Sumika starts approaching others, her actions sparking jealousy in him. Meanwhile, his understanding of her delusion grows, even as he avoids directly confronting it. Yet, despite holding on to this tension, Sumika surprises him by reaching out to establish a friendship. He keeps a distance initially, doubting whether his sense of connection portends friendship or something deeper. Years flip by seamlessly. By then, his initial instincts about her delusion had become evident, they were inseparable parts of how she operated socially. The Sakura delusion acted as a barrier around her, but he couldn't abandon her to face it. Unexpectedly, Sumika's delusion takes a stronger hold, pushing her deeper into isolation and detachment. A pivotal moment occurs when the narrator is forced into a reclusive lifestyle due to the intense pressures exerted by a troupe they perform with. It simultaneously allows Sumika's obsession to grow unhindered. Alone in her pursuit of a Sakura, she eventually orchestrates a situation that leads the narrator to propose a new strategy, one that involves stepping away. Upon his withdrawal, her attempts to extricate herself from these illusions increase. Eventually, she takes on a role in a play, not as a lead but significantly involved. Sumika's involvement bears semblance to her familiar Sakura delusions, with her character caught in a tangled web of misunderstandings. Despite, or perhaps because of, her performative realism, a schism forms, and the troupe turns against the narrator. Caught in a maelstrom of manipulation and misunderstanding, the narrator reflects on how deep Sumika's descent into madness could be. He predicts she'll probably take the simplest and most foolish option, foreseeing his fate with startling acceptance. He wonders if her hatred could become a twisted form of gratitude, a chance to repair the damaged recreation of their time together. In the long span of their shared journey, the narrator confronts emotions of guilt and affection intermingled with resentment. Recognizing his role in sustaining, even nurturing, her delusions is painful. Sumika's moves, now devoid of her past innocence, carry a sharp intensity. Realizing how he's aided and abetted her delusions, he decides to face whatever end lies ahead. In this final admittance, there's a confession of profoundly liking those shared, quiet moments in the garage, an acknowledgement of genuine affection entwined with an unspoken farewell. The poignant note closes with a lingering hope, a hope that as they tread into the unknown, they could, in another life, share the serene companionship once immortalized in their silence. In a quiet moment of introspection, Ogami reflects on the past and the choices that led him to this point. The encounter with Miwa at the cafe becomes a catalyst for uncovering hidden truths about himself and those around him. Ogami dissects his own motivations, admitting to Miwa that an honest man had once shown him compassion, leading him to feel apologetic for his deceptive ways. Being a Sakura, I got too used to being deceived myself, he acknowledges. Miwa shares her own revelation, explaining her decision to quit after Ogami's advice. Anxious-looking men, she realized, were clear indicators of what users wanted. This understanding prompted her to leave her job behind, seeking authenticity and honesty in her interactions. As Ogami bids farewell to Miwa, he sees a reflection of his journey in her experiences. Their conversation lingers in his thoughts as he drives away, the echoes of their exchange resonating with newfound clarity. He contemplates the tangled web of deceit and genuine connection in his life, the friendships built on schemes paradoxically becoming the most significant ones. In the solitude of his apartment, Ogami grapples with the remnants of his past. His mind drifts to Sumika and Kujirai, the two people whose revelations unearthed truths deeply buried within him. Summoning the courage to confront them had unearthed the genuine nature of their relationships. Ogami faces the stark reality that the danger lay in leaving these ties unresolved. The notebook, a testament to his tumultuous journey, becomes a symbol of closure. In a private ritual, he sets it aflame along with the remnants of his own self-deception. Ogami's thoughts revisit the train tracks and his memories with Sumika, the complexities of affection and betrayal wrapped in bittersweet nostalgia. The complexities of his relationships ripple through his mind, casting light on moments of joy and misunderstanding. As the cherry blossoms bloom around him, Ogami senses a profound shift within. Kasumi's imagined approval at the sight reinforces his resolve to move forward, leaving behind the twisted echoes of his past. Kujirai's unexpected confession becomes a catalyst for reconciliation, unraveling the layers of mistrust. Ogami ventures to the academy one final time, encountering Sumika engrossed in the class roster. Their brief exchange, laced with playful teasing, highlights the evolution of their bond from deception to something resembling genuine friendship. Kujirai's imitation of Sumika brings laughter, a testament to the healing power of their newfound mutual understanding. In a heartfelt conclusion, Ogami comes to realize the true meaning of connection. Through the trials and revelations, he discerns the importance of authenticity and the delicate balance between deception and truth. The journey has reshaped his bonds, aligning them with trust and recognition, the closest substitutions for love he can muster. Ogami's final journey through the town of Sakura encapsulates his transformation. As the navigation system cheerfully announces the town's name, he embarks on a path of renewal, shedding the burdens of the past. With each step, he feels at peace in the understanding that sometimes, the journey back to oneself is the most profound journey of all.